Hello everybody, welcome back to another video by DissociaDID. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video. When it comes to things like physical intimacy, it's kind of a taboo subject, right? I think that's dumb, I think that's stupid, I think that needs to change. I think that by making discussions around physical intimacy and especially safety around physical intimacy, when we think about how many people, especially women, are subject to sexual violence, it's regular. The numbers are huge. I don't know why it isn't being talked about and why the healing and recovery side of things aren't being talked about. I think that by shaming people for talking about sex or recovery and physical intimacy in relationships after trauma, we are stopping people from healing as well and as quickly as they could do. If there was more openness, more people would feel comfortable coming forward and saying, yeah, this happened to me. It wasn't okay. I want to heal from it. Is there anyone out there like me? Yes. There is. So today what we wanted to do is talk about recovering from sexual trauma and rediscovering sexual intimacy in a safe way, how to do it. We're not going to be going into anything that's sexy or anything that's explicit. What I am going to do is give you advice that has worked for our system and that we have given to other trauma survivors, people who are and aren't systems, and it has worked for them as well. Discussions today are going to be about keeping yourself safe and how to reintroduce yourself to positions of intimacy or being intimate with other people without having flashbacks, hopefully, or by using techniques that will reduce the likelihood and hopefully the intensity of any triggers that you might experience. Now, before I say anything, please keep in mind, I'm not a sex therapist. I'm not an expert. All I can do is tell you from my experience and from things that I have told other people that they have then tried and has helped them, that I hope that this helps you. If it doesn't, or at any point you're trying some of these and it does not feel right, stop. And I can only give advice that I think will be helpful for you. And I really, really hope it is. But if this is not right for you, that doesn't mean you're broken. It just means that our traumas, our brains, our bodies, whatever, are working in different ways, or we're at different stages in our healing, or we're with different partners, whatever. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and that is okay. There will be something that works for you, okay? Don't push yourself. This video can be used both by people who have experienced sexual trauma or partners of people who have experienced sexual trauma. In fact, I'd recommend both of you watch this video. These are my tips. Tip 1 is figure out what you need. It might not be what you think you need, and it might not be what most people will think to somebody who's been traumatized intimately. A lot of people assume that if you're dealing with somebody who has experienced that, the right or only way forward is gentleness. For some people, gentleness in bed can be triggering in itself. When people think about sexual trauma, a lot of people only think about very violent illustrations of it. While all sexual trauma is violent, that doesn't mean that it's always aggressive. For some people, and not all, gentleness in bed can be triggering. Affection in bed can be triggering. Soft spoken or whispered words can be triggering. Also, before I go any further, trigger warning. This is going to be discussions of intimacy, potential triggers, or things that could be triggering to you. Again, I'm not going into anything specific. I'm not going into anything detailed. If you feel uncomfortable, make a note of why you feel uncomfortable, especially if you do want to try some of these things, so that you know, don't go there, okay? Okay. Whispering or hushed words can be triggering. Communicate with your partner. If they give you boundaries, trust them, listen to them, and stick to them, even if it doesn't make logical sense to you. That's the same for you if you are the person who has experienced a difficult past. Even if it doesn't make logical sense to you, if it doesn't feel comfortable, if it doesn't feel right, stop. There is no right way to recover. There is no right way to enjoy sex or sexual intimacy, okay? If it feels wrong or uncomfortable, that doesn't mean that you're wrong, okay? It doesn't mean that you're the source of the discomfort. It means that this isn't right for you, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Listen to what your body is telling you. Don't push it. Second tip is decide on safe words, and hear me out. Just hear me out, because I know where some of your thoughts are going to be going, and I promise, just hear me out, okay? Decide on safe words. Yes, even if it's just foreplay or roughhousing or if it's just vanilla. So many people assume that safe words are only needed or used for rough sex or BDSM or pre-negotiated scenes. That's not true. If communicating something is difficult for you or a challenge for you, safe words are a great way to be able to get that information across with 1 or 2 words. Even if you're in a triggered state, even if you're in a flashback sometimes, 1 word is all you need to remember, and your partner will immediately know upon hearing it what it means, how you're feeling, what to do next, and how to keep you safe, and also the level of urgency that's required. Some people who've experienced things like this immediately go into a dissociative state when they need to use the word no or stop. Some people feel extreme guilt for saying no or stop. Some people are scared to say no or stop because it's been ignored so many times in the past. Safe words can help you get around these issues. A really great and effective example that I would recommend using is the traffic light system. Imagine a traffic light if you're driving in a car, kind of one you'd see on the road. There's the red light at the very top, the amber, orange, yellow light, and the green light. We all know what all of those mean. For most people, you won't even have to think about it, and that's what you want. You want an immediate understanding without somebody having to be like, what does that word mean again? Or why are they saying that? What does that mean? You need something that's going to be an immediate red, shit. Okay, stop everything now. So red is for stop everything immediately. Yellow or orange or amber or whatever you want to call it, you decide that with your partner, means slow down, warning. It can mean check in, it can mean change the subject. You discuss what you want this to mean with your partner. Green is for carry on, everything's safe and okay. Safe words and systems like the traffic light system may have been originally created for other purposes, but that doesn't mean that they can't be adapted for use outside of an intimate or sexual context. For example, you can use safe words in your daily life. You start to dissociate during a conversation and you're unable to communicate that you're getting triggered. Or maybe the trigger comes on way faster than you realize and you're not prepared for it. Just say or type red and your partner or whoever you're speaking to knows immediately that you're triggered and that something needs to stop now and to check in with you. Your partner will know immediately what to do without you having to explain or discuss. When you're in a triggered state or you've decided to dissociate, sometimes you can't explain. So being able to say one word and having all that information packed into there is very helpful. While they may not know the details of this specific situation, what they do know immediately is that this is an urgent situation that needs their full attention right now, all without you having to say anything else. One word, short, easy to say, easy to remember. The word and colour red has been ingrained in most of us from an early age by society to mean stop and danger. Just like with traffic lights, warning signs, stop signs, all of them are red. Same with yellow, orange or amber. Personally, I prefer to say yellow. I find it the easiest for my mouth to pronounce when I'm in a dissociative state. If you're slurring your words and dissociating, orange can also be easy to say and understand, because even if you say orange, what? Orange, people are still going to be able to be like, orange, you know? But you figure out what works best for you. The important thing is that it can be easily recalled, even when you're in a triggered state, and easily understood by somebody else. Usually if you're in a situation where you feel like something is getting a bit close to triggering you or a bit uncomfortable, you have to stop and explain. I'm feeling uncomfortable right now because XYZ, this is what I need. Maybe we could do this, that, and the other just in case. With safe words like yellow for slow down, warning, reassess, change the subject, you don't need to do any of that. No explanation needed. That means there's no risk or low risk of triggering yourself further by trying to explain, thinking about trying to explain, thinking about the situation that is triggering you in the first place. Your partner will immediately know what's going on and should react accordingly. Always discuss what each word means and what response you need when you hear someone else say them or when you've said them. Another tip is that before you get into the bedroom, before you do anything sexual, experiment with positions in a safe and non-sexual manner. Fully closed, just positions. No heated atmosphere, no sexy stuff, nothing. Just normal vibes, safe, just positions. If you feel fear, discomfort, start to shut down or dissociate or panic, do not try and do that position in a sexual context. If you're reacting like that to that position outside of a sexual context, it is likely going to be a trigger for you. Don't push yourself to explain or remember why. All you need to know is that based on how you feel, it won't be a pleasant or enjoyable experience for you. And sex is supposed to be a pleasurable and enjoyable experience. So you don't need to try that. If it's not going to work for you, that's fine. There are other things that might work for you instead. Other things that might help might be music in the background to help keep you grounded. Make sure you've got preset playlists, and they don't have to be sexy playlists or whatever. Music that you know is grounding, that is familiar to you, so that if you do start to dissociate or get a bit confused, or if you have DID or OSDD, you start to feel switchy, you have familiar sounds in the background, so you can be like, I know that sound, especially if it's a positive trigger for you to keep you in the front if you do have DID or OSDD. To help avoid other alters switching out during that intimate time, it can help you feel safer because, like, I know that song, where am I? Or I know that song, that's a safe song, I'm in a safe place, I'm okay. However, if listening to music or having background noise makes you dissociate, don't don't have it on in the background. For other people, looking into or recognizing faces can be an issue. If you are in a position where you're face to face with somebody, hold up. I'm telling you, it's normal to have reactions to stuff. Grounding. You want to know about grounding, by the way. We have so many videos on them. I'll link them in the description box below. Yeah, if you're in a position where you're face to face with somebody, if you start to dissociate or start to get triggered, I know that for us, one of the first senses to go is sight. And it might get quite blurry. And if it does get quite blurry and you're in a triggered state, your memories might start superimposing someone else's face over the face you're actually seeing. A memory. What you need to be able to do in that situation is be able to identify the person in front of you. Hopefully you'll be able to catch it when you realize that you started dissociating or started to get triggered. But I know that can be very difficult, especially if you're in a heated moment, because your attention's elsewhere, right? So for situations like that, what I say is you can utilize grounding in these situations too. Like I just did with this. For example, if your partner has a perfume or an aftershave or some kind of smell, whether that be hair gel or a body wash or whatever, that smells really strong that you associate with them, have them put it on before you go into the bedroom. That way, hopefully, you should be surrounded by this grounding smell that you're familiar with, that you associate with safety. So even if your other senses start to go, that should help bring you back or at least keep you out of a really triggered space visually. Another thing would be wear bright colors, things that would be recognizable even if your eyesight starts to go very blurry. That could be them wearing something in their hair. If you have a partner who wears makeup, maybe some bright makeup, bright eyeshadow or something like that. If they have jewelry, maybe some interesting or brightly colored or unique jewelry that would be easy for you to identify even if you're feeling a little bit out of it. And if you are feeling a little bit out of it, you can use yellow. Take a break, check in, have some water, ground. Remember, you don't have to carry on, you don't have to push through it. You don't owe anybody this. You don't owe anybody anything. And also, the goal of physical intimacy shouldn't necessarily be, oh, well, it's not over until somebody has a happy ending. No, you're in it for the experience, to be with each other in a safe and enjoyable and pleasurable way. Who gives a fuck if there's no happy ending? Finish yourself off, you know? What's important right now is your safety, okay? You do not owe anybody anything. You are not a tool or a toy for someone else's use for them to get their happy ending. This is as much about you as it is about them, and you do not have to serve anyone anymore. If you feel uncomfortable, if you're starting to dissociate, you can stop whenever you want to. Even if you feel like, oh, I don't mind, it'll be over soon, I can carry it. You don't have to do that anymore. No one will think badly of you. You're not going to be punished for it. You can stop. Only do it if it's nice for you. And sometimes that might take a few tries. Sometimes it might take a couple of weeks, a couple of months, a couple of years. Sometimes it takes the right partner. Sometimes you can only do it by yourself. That's okay. Okay? It's not worth putting yourself through something that's going to re-traumatize you if it doesn't feel good. It's supposed to feel happy, not just physically good. If you don't feel happy, forget what your body is reacting to. Your body can give you positive sensations because the right buttons are being pressed. That doesn't mean that you're enjoying it. It doesn't mean you're happy. Okay? If you associate certain things with abusers, request that for this experience, your partner removes them. So like I spoke about piercings before, let's say your abuser had piercings, like a nose piercing, an eyebrow piercing or whatever, and your partner at the time now also has one. Request they take it out if you want to, just in case that kind of superimposing confusion happens. You want there to be as much difference between then and now as possible. I'd also recommend having recognizable objects and colors nearby. So that could be, for example, you turn your head, you're going to see something really recognizable that you know is safe and yours, that will give you context clues as to where you are. That's what you want. You can also learn what you've associated with something bad. It doesn't always have to be touch. It can be words, it can be phrases, it can be noises, it can be the level of noise. Like I said earlier, some people react really badly to gentleness. Some people can only do rough, otherwise it's triggering. For some people, it's the complete opposite. They need gentleness, they need softness, they need love, they need to feel appreciated and loved. And you can make someone feel appreciated and loved and still be rough and physically hard. You just need to know what you're doing and check in with the person. What do they need? What do they want? Communicate with your partner, please, for the love of God. Don't assume what your partner needs. Also, don't assume what you need. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body. If you have alters, listen to your alters. Okay? Even if they're not going to be there, they might know, okay, well, if this happens, it's going to trigger me out. I don't want to be there, okay? The amount of times that I was triggered out as Nina, I mean, it was my job. I get triggered out and, you know, just carry on because I'm there now, so it's what I'm supposed to do type thing. Jesus Christ. Anyway, right. Yeah, this isn't about me. If you want to hear about my experiences, I can make a video on my experiences, you know, things I've learned, how I learned, you know, what's safe and what's not, and talk you through it as a trauma survivor. Again, not going into anything intense or specific or sexy. I want to be in a sexy way. As you can tell, I don't see the point in it being like, ooh, hush hush, oh my god, she's talking about sex. It's like, so what? I'm also going to do a video on hypersexuality and asexuality as it pertains to me and my experience and the experiences of people close to me. Again, I'm not a professional, I'm just a person sharing my experience in the hope that it helps other people relate if you feel the same way. But there's so much more I can say about this. There's more advice I can give. I can even give specific advice for specific traumas if you need them. If nobody wants this, if this is not helpful, I will not make another video. If it is helpful, because I am honestly horrified and shocked at the lack of video. I don't think I've ever seen a video like this, where it's like, you've been traumatized by this, here's how you can do it now in a healthy way and not get traumatized by it, not get triggered by it, and reclaim that part of your life. Because if you want to do that, you should be able to do that without, you know, having to go through it by yourself. You know, you've got someone guiding you, something, just something, so you know you're not alone, right? And it's possible. I think that's it for me today. If any of this was helpful, please let me know. If you want another video on it, please let me know. What kind of videos? Let me know. Okie dokie. One more thing I want to say is that you're not defined by what happened to you. I'm gonna scooch a little closer. Hold on. You're not defined by what happened to you. You're not defined by your reactions or your responses to what happened to you. You can be whoever you want to be, feel whatever you want to feel. You don't owe anyone anything, ever. You don't have to follow the same programming. You're more than everything that they told you you were. You're allowed to talk about it. You're allowed to do it. You're allowed to not do it. You're allowed to never talk about it if you don't want to do it. Or if you don't want to speak about it, that's fine. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. If you do want to, that is fine. Whatever you decide to do, the important thing is that it's your choice. And you have a right to choose. It's your body, it's your mind, it's your experience, it's your relationship or not. Sex shouldn't be a punishment or a weapon. Humans aren't livestock. You're not a trade. You're not an asset. You're a human being. And you deserve to choose what to do with your own life. And you're going to be fine. You are. You're going to be fine. And you're not alone. There are so many people who've been through things like this. To various levels, extents, degrees, situations, people, groups. You're not on your own. And you don't have to figure it out on your own. You don't even have to decide what you want or what you need on your own. You're allowed to be confused and conflicted and hurt and upset. You're allowed to be sure and confident. And you're allowed to go after what you want. You're allowed to experiment with what you want. What feels safe, what feels right, what feels exciting. You're more than your past. You're more than what other people did to you. You're more than what you survived. And I know it doesn't go away, but there is more, different, better, if you want that. If you don't, that's fine too. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're loved and supported and cared about. Find somebody who makes you feel and believe that. Preferably yourself. Lots of love, everybody. Bye.